the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something, don't take for granted.
My boy Dave likes to vacation.
Oh yeah.
But when it comes to just look, like when you're 80 on your deathbed, are you going to be more proud of the fact that you were able to go to Turks and Caicos, or are you going to be more proud of the fact that you
grinded for so long?
Yeah. There was like, I want you to ask him about his love life. Do you have somebody in the picture?
I don't.
You don't, huh?
No.
That's as short as it gets. Short and simple man.
I would say short and simple.
Yeah.
I'm a busy guy.
Yeah, busy guy. We don't got time for that.
Don't have time for the ladies.
Yeah.
There's another big one. I just talked to a coach today that, and it's shady. That's the hard part. It's a shady business.
Because you're almost getting into the player's personal life too.
Well,
whatever.
You couldn't take the time to just text me happy birthday. Yeah. I'm like, I just didn't realize what day it was.
Like, sorry, it's Tuesday and I just got off of work and it's 10:30.
Yeah.
This is episode 14 of the Disclaimer Podcast. Tonight we have on David Jahnke, or as I like to call you, Javid Danke. I don't know if I'm the only one that keeps that going.
You are.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah, that's how it was, man. I think when I played on Taylor's, you were the first coach that I've ever had that was super laid back. Like super laid back. Did you find yourself as a laid back coach, or did you recognize that, or were you more trying to be strict in some moments?
I'm still not that old of a coach right now. I mean, I still coach to this day. But I think as time goes on, I'm even more laid back.
Yeah.
And so the first couple of years, it was like you wanted to live on every single pitch, and now now I'm more like, okay, we practice. I want to lay back and let the kids play, let everybody play, and once the critical situations come up, then maybe we'll start doing a little bit more grinding and getting down to the nuts and bolts. But no, I like to be laid back. That's something I've always felt that if you have a coach that's super boisterous, like you guys when you played, you guys created your own energy a lot. And I didn't have to get you guys going.
Yeah, you didn't have to get like in the middle of it.
No.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But there were times, like I've told you plenty of times, where you had to focus a little bit more than what, and I think as if you look at other teams and the coaches that they have, teams take the character of their coach. And if you're super loud and boisterous and are getting on the umpires and everything, then your team's going to act like that way too. And I just want it to stay with us. And so I felt if I stay laid back, people didn't stress out. You go to the plate loose and easy rather than I got to get this hit right here. I gotta do this right here. And so if you're laid back, I've always felt that you're going to get more out of your players.
Right. And like baseball is that weird like mentality game where like you do, like what you just said, like you do kind of ride the vibe of your coach.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen that like in plenty of just even high school teams here in the Western Slope. If we know the coach is, you can get under skin really quickly.
Yeah, you're gonna do whatever you can to get under their skin.
Exactly. Like the team just, I don't know. You can only play pissed off and good for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And at some point, as a player, and you're not really happy with your coach, you're not going to be playing well for your coach.
No.
You get to the point where you're like, you know what?
No, and I don't want you to play for me. I want you to play
Right.
for you
Yeah.
and the guy next to you.
Yeah.
You know, if you're playing for me, you're playing for the wrong person.
Yeah.
You're playing. I need you to play for the other 17 guys that are on your team too.
Yeah,
Because
that's
the
true.
minute you do that, then you're going to start to have success because you're not going to try to impress me. I don't need you to impress me. I need you to get a hit for the guy next to you
Yeah.
and the other guys. Those are the guys that you need to have behind you.
Yeah. So when we were just talking before we went live about that tournament, was it the state tournament that happened where?
The one where we stayed in the bus, where me and Coach Willie?
I think you and Willie. I don't even know if Coach Nate was there. I don't know if you still talk to him,
Oh,
but
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if he was there at the state tournament. I'm pretty sure it was the state tournament. You pulled some selfless thing, which was really fucking cool. But you slept. Did you sleep in the bus or in your car?
We slept in the bus. Me and Willie slept in the bus. It was the state tournament was at when we stayed in the bus. The state tournament was at Fairview, and we won it that year.
Right.
But yeah, it was I think it was our last league games or something like that, and I was notorious for last second booking hotels,
Yeah.
and it really bit me in the ass.
Yeah.
And so we stayed at that hotel was up there with the most sketchy hotels.
It
we've
was
stayed at.
ratchet. It was ratchet.
And yeah, so finally, it was me, Willie, and Jax, I think, ended up in a room, and I was like, we ended up staying out in the van and I was like, 2 more guys come in here or try to spread ourselves out as much as we can, and yeah, that was
an interesting year.
that was definitely a first.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did that. I think that was just me and Willie,
Yeah.
and then we went to the regional tournament at Metro.
Yeah. We got our ass kicked then. Yeah.
So
That wasn't.
interesting enough, the shortstop on that team started for the Diamondbacks on the mound the other night.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
What, that same.
That Las Vegas team that we played,
Really?
where we got smoked.
Yeah. I did not know
The
that.
shortstop.
But he wasn't. Are you talking about the pitcher that played in the Classic?
No.
Or was it on the Diamondbacks? Was it an actual?
No,
season
he
game?
played for a team, the Las Vegas team in the regional tournament that year. He played shortstop against us. He didn't pitch against us.
Oh.
But he pitched for the Diamondbacks
That's
the
crazy.
other night against the Dodgers.
That's actually really wild. I sit back and like some of the people that you play against and you see. I didn't even know that. I think who I'm thinking of was Trey, or he went to this kid went to Yavapai and he actually started for, I think it was Team US in the championship. He went. I think he went to Yavapai, same.
He went to
junior
Central
colleges,
Arizona.
or Central Arizona, not Yavapai. My bad.
Yeah, and he started against us in that game
Interesting.
on the mound. That guy did.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. No, I that's the coolest part of baseball is like
Oh yeah.
seeing
Were you-
kids grow.
Were you on the team when we went up to Billings, or was your brother?
I think it was Alex.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I.
There's a kid that we played up there that is the starting second baseman for the Phillies right now.
Huh. That's good, and you're the only, it seems like you're really good at keeping track of this stuff.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is the type of stuff that I'll play them, I'll see them once, whatever, and then I'll kind of forget about them.
Yeah.
But I think that is the cool thing about you being a coach. You're always paying attention to lineups, names.
Oh, yeah.
You recognize it from year to year, this kid was on this team last year. You kind of recognize his figure and body
Oh, yeah.
language and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. It was funny. So this last summer, another story that was kind of along those same lines. We played it. We went out to California for the firecracker tournament that we would go to every couple years out there, and we played against a team that we hadn't played against their organization, and I think 2012 was the last time we played against their organization, and we played them in Reno in a championship game of this 4th of July tournament, a different 4th of July tournament.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, we got smoked against you. You guys beat us pretty good. I think we lost 9-1. And a kid named Dalton Jeffries was the pitcher. He's in the rotation with the A's right now.
Wow.
And then he goes, oh yeah, he wasn't the guy we talked to. He goes, that was my first year with that program. that's not the only guy that's playing in the bigs right now. And we're like,
off that team?
Off that team.
Oh.
And we're like, really? We're like, who else? He goes, well, Nick Madrigal was our shortstop. And he's the shortstop for the Cubs or somebody right now, the White Sox maybe, right now, or second base. And then he goes, yeah, and the first baseman was Rowdy Tellez, first baseman for the Brewers right now. And we're like,
that's crazy.
Holy cow, yeah.
And what this team that you're talking about, was it a recent or what?
It was a while back. It was like 2012. It was NorCal Valley was the name of the team.
Oh.
And they've been around for a while, but we've never met up with them since that time out in Reno. I think Drew Bridges was on the team when we played him. Casey Burns, Owen Taylor was on that team. So a lot of different guys were on that team. So.
Interesting. Who do you think, I guess, like, who's the biggest success story do you think that Gene Taylor's has provided?
Well,
or has built up?
That's a tough question, really tough question, because...
I mean, you think about Owen Taylor and you think about Cuba Best, the first two...
And I'm gonna go to a different level than you are.
Okay.
Before Gene Taylor's was around. I mean, we brought it back in 2007, but before 1994-ish, there was a ton of guys before that too.
Right.
There's a guy that Tony Taylor told me about that played for Gene himself. That was the AAA manager for the Red Sox, a guy named Arnie Baylor.
Wow. I actually didn't even know that.
Yeah, Coach Chris Hanks at Mesa played for Gene Taylor.
Really?
Yeah.
Hanks did.
Yeah.
That's also another person I'm trying to get on the podcast too. So you're gonna have to sweet talk.
Oh boy, that would be something.
I think that I could get him. I don't know him that well, but I do want to have him on eventually.
He's got some stories.
Oh, I bet he does.
He's got a lot of stories.
I bet he does. I think I just have to catch him on the right time.
Yep.
It's in the middle of baseball season. So.
Yeah, probably not the best time right now.
And he just got his 1,000th win.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive. That means he's been in a program for so long.
There's only 22 guys in Division II baseball that have ever gotten to that 1,000 wins. So, and so that's why I say you talk about success stories. There's, you look at the recent ones, but I think you also got to look at the ones then. And I don't know all those guys either. And so some of those guys back then did a lot of things in minor league baseball and in college too, and so you bring up Cuba and Owen and Jeff Baldwin. I mean, he was a high round draft pick for the Royals.
Yeah.
Kind of indirectly, when we first brought the program back in 2007, there was a 14U team that went along with our 19U team, 18/19U team. Guy that's playing professionally right now played on that 14U team, Sam Haggerty.
Interesting.
And so he's been starting at second base for the Seattle Mariners. So it's like there's a lot of guys and a lot of good teams, and so it's really hard to tell. So when you get to success stories, it's
I guess that's
so
really
many,
vague. That's really vague because there is a lot, and you could even go as far as once they pass playing. They can even be coaches at some point in their life.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So
there
is a different level.
Yeah, and some of them were really good, really good players, with the two Genes, Gene Haggerty and Gene Taylor. And when that program stopped and when we brought it back to up, there's just so many good players and stories and success stories. Some of these guys are just finishing up college right now and getting into life and still trying to figure out. I run into Eric Nordine often. He played 2 years of Taylor's, and I mean, he has 2 kids and is a firefighter now, and so it's crazy to look around. I mean, Mick Ritter, he's the GM of the Jackalopes
now.
He played a year at Taylor's.
He's also on my list of trying to get on the podcast too. There's a lot of guys.
So there's so many when you talk about success stories and just different guys that have played with the program, and I mean, it's kind of fun right now reminiscing about some of them. Some of these guys that you run into here and there, and so
I ran into Zane Abeda. I don't know if he was on that team that you're talking about, kind of, but he was always like he's pumped for this podcast, this episode.
Zaner's the best. Man.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
Do you remember who was on that team? Was that a year before Alex? I think it might have been the year
Yeah.
before Alex or something, because it wasn't too far. He's only like 3 years, 3 years older than me or something. But
Yeah, I'm getting
Yeah, you-
guys mixed up right now.
yeah, I bet you do. I mean,
'Cause-
did like Michael Price play for you?
Mhm.
So I'm assuming it was like that year.
So your brother played. I can't
My brother
remember.
played 2 years.
He
I think,
played with. He played. He had to play the year that we went and played that regional tournament in Boulder,
Yeah.
and we lost to Hawaii on the.
Yes. With yep. I do remember that. We don't want to point no fingers.
We ain't
but
point-
you
we ain't
know,
pointing
you
no
know who
fingers.
else? You know who else I saw at Summerfield? Why Scotty? I
Oh,
did see
man.
Scotty there. No, he's a cool cat. He had all of his hair like grown out. He looks like
Yeah.
a caveman now. So
Yeah.
He's- he's
it's just a lot of these teams run together, but I think Zane was on that team too.
huh? I mean,
think
yeah,
I
maybe.
can't remember. There's
Yeah, there's so many names.
Yeah.
So do you know why Gene Taylor's was stopped for a period of time and then brought back? Like, what was
it
that
got
about?
to be the point where, back when it was when Gene and Gene were running it, it used to be free. Gene used to just pay for it off the profits of the store when it was down
Yeah.
down by whatever's down there now.
Yeah.
And so it used to be free, and so but what happened is all the high school teams wanted to start making their own teams and doing their own deal and keeping
summer ball thing?
and summer ball and keeping their kids together. And Gene wasn't going to fight with them,
Right.
and he wasn't going to fight with them to take kids and fight over kids. He just wanted them to play baseball,
Yeah.
and so he just decided to stop doing the team. Well, then in 2007, a couple of dads that played for Gene and Gene said, well, why don't we get this thing going again? Because it was the summer baseball, like it, and I'm not trying to cap on anybody or put anybody down, but it got to be the point again where summer baseball just isn't. It is what it is right now in the Valley, where it's not very competitive.
Yep.
And there's kids of different abilities and at different levels that need to be challenged.
Yeah,
and
I
so,
agree.
And so they got it back together. There's a couple of very, very large anonymous donations to try to get it back going the way it was, where it was free.
Oh.
And it was a
okay.
and it was a tryout base. Now, I mean, obviously we can't do it. We're not doing it free anymore. We haven't done it
Right.
free for a long time. But we even I upped the prices this year again, just with fuel costs and hotel prices raising. But
Yeah.
I started looking around at different organizations, some of the bigger organizations, and we're still a bargain for what we are. And it's a lot of money. And I commend the parents. They're willing to do it, and they're willing to go out with their kids and pay to have them play. But
Yeah, it's a cool thing, but it also it feels like it almost kind of takes away from maybe the opportunity, especially if kids are not like fortunate enough to be able to maybe.
well, and that's the nice thing about it. Or the way I look at it is, there's us and the other team in town,
Yeah.
and there is still the high school summer baseball circuit around here.
Yeah.
And that's designed for kids that need the help and the at-bats to get the at-bats against
Right.
likability, whereas our team and the other team go out to these other tournaments and face some stronger competition that those kids need.
Yeah.
And so that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. No, that's like well said. I think you kind of hit the nail right on the head when you said just like the competitiveness is what it is in the Grand Valley.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of see it all, especially when you play high school for so long. It was funny because some guys that my dad knows even when they have little kids, they're always about little league, and there are parents out there that just stay strict to little league and they don't put their kids in competitive baseball. And then when it comes time, like kind of that right before high school age, like that middle school age, and they finally get kind of kicked out of little league, they're like all of a sudden they're really big into competitive. They're like, oh, it's like we've had our kids in competitive since they were like 7, because now there's low age ranges for competitive.
There is, and I think I do think there's too young to be traveling around with your kids.
Yeah, that is true. There's like
there is a basement to where I think that's too much.
Yeah, because it doesn't really. You don't really need to do it.
And I see it and I watch it and I'm just like, it really is. I mean, it's unfortunate to say, but when you see some of those 8U tournaments, and I'm kind of like, I don't know if this is a good thing.
Yeah, because at that,
what are we teaching the kids right now? Are we still sticking to the fundamentals? Being able to play catch, throw it across the diamond, fielding a ground ball, catching a fly ball. Are we really sticking to the basics of baseball?
Yeah, at that point.
Or are we more concerned about what our kids look like when they go to the plate? Heaven forbid they have walk-up music.
I get it. And it's just like Evo Shields, and it's just like more of the what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of the
swag or whatever you want. Yeah. So.
Gosh. Yeah, I didn't really think about that, but that's true. I guess I didn't know how low that age range goes.
I think it's 8. I think 8's the lowest, but man, that's young.
Oh yeah, it is. How long do you see yourself coaching?
I've actually asked myself that a lot lately. And I've always said when I don't enjoy it anymore, when I don't like going on the road, when going on the road just becomes a chore, when when the season feels like it's dragging and you're not having fun anymore coaching kids or getting kids excited and amped up to play a game.
It's like my favorite lyric by Drake is like, the moment I stop having fun with it, I'll be done with it.
Yeah,
so that's kind of where you are.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
And people have asked me that too. And last summer was really hard. I ended up running two teams by myself last summer. Just some things didn't work out, and we had committed to having 2 teams, and I ended up running both. So it was every weekend I was on the road with one of the 2 teams, and it got hard. And I was happy when it was over in the end, and that was when I started looking at myself. I'm like, am I getting close?
Yeah.
And I really stayed away from it. I didn't think about it at all in the fall, and the winter didn't really think about it much. And then probably a couple months ago, I started like, we need to do this.
Yeah. Get back to the game.
And even getting prepared. I'm more prepared now this year than I've been probably in 3 or 4 years for the summer.
Interesting. You think it's because of the time off that you took?
I think just forgetting about it for a little bit was enough. I'm not like a lot of the summer coaches where I don't coach a high school team. I have a job that takes me through every weekend, and
you're traveling with them too. It sounds like
at times I am. Yeah, I was just on the road. I was just in Pueblo this last weekend with our baseball and softball teams at Mesa, and had a great time doing it. I helped the guys out over at CSU Pueblo, and then I was traveling with basketball when we first started talking about setting this up. I was traveling with basketball, men's basketball team down in Texas, and I've been traveling a lot lately with different teams. And
so for work, do you just kind of do it like a little bit of it seems like you do a little bit of everything. Is probably the best way to put it.
It is. And
do you do commentating? Do you ever have to? What do you find yourself doing?
I do some commentating. I do a little bit of everything. It's a good way to put it. My job, I oversee every program, and now I have 2 other people that help me out.
Right.
But we're responsible for pretty much doing everything with the athletic programs at Mesa, and so I color commentate for all of our wrestling duels, men and women. If we need to fill in for baseball, I do baseball too, and so we keep stats. That's probably one of the bigger things that we do, is we keep the stats of all the different events we have.
Right.
We do we handle the media obligations that our programs have, whether it's various different things, handling those obligations though, and then website, social media, which is it's something we didn't think we'd ever be getting into, but now it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so
So do you have kids coming on, like maybe helping you guys out, or?
That's the plan. That's the goal, but it just doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
And so, like, we were kind of joking. I was joking today in the office. Like, I don't have any interns this semester, and so other semesters I'd have 2 or 3, and a lot of them are just like, I just want to do social media. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah, for real.
Good. I don't have to do it then. That's what that means. So.
Well, I mean, social media, I mean, to an extent it's fun, but you have to be really consistent with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've learned, because, I mean, especially at the level that, like, CMU's on, because you got games almost every day. It doesn't even matter if it's a wrestling match or tennis or bowling, whatever it is. Like, you have to be on top.
And our problem is that we always want to do more. We want, and I tell my staff, I'm like, I want to push the envelope, with whatever we do, try to do more and more and more, as much as we can with the amount of people we have. We have 26, 27, 28 sports, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
And there's 3 of us. Now, if this is CU, there's 12 of us.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
And so it's just a different level, and I think me and my crew do as good as we can with handling all those sports.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It is difficult at times.
Yeah. How long have you been there at CMU, I guess? Have you been there for...
I started in the fall of 2008. That was my first job was in the fall of 2008 there.
So you've been there for a long time then.
Yeah, and I tell people I speak in some classes about my job and everything, and if you want to get into college athletics and be a part of something, you need to get involved any way you can and not expect compensation for it.
Yeah.
And so you got to find years of experience, because you go look at the job board and they want years of experience, and I tell people, I'm like, I'm not proud of this, and this is not something that I just go around saying, but my first year I made $8,500. That was all I made, and I had to try to live off that.
Yeah.
And that's extremely good. You
can't
do that today. You can't do that.
Yeah, no way. Yeah.
But my point is when I'm talking to people is that if you want to be in college athletics, you just got to be willing to just do what you have to do.
Yeah.
And so I did. I stuck with it for a long time, and I'm in the position that I am now, and I'm super thankful for it.
Yeah, that is true. I think that is true. The way athletics have grown is in the most odd, unnecessary way. You would think that as much media and attention sports bring to a college, you would think it'd probably be the easiest thing to grow and the easiest thing inside out to be able to, like, okay, we can hire more people for media. We can hire more people to commentate. We can do this.
And you got to remember, at our level, though, it's hard because we don't have a revenue generating sport like a CU, a CSU.
Yeah.
We don't have, like, our football, we break even with football.
Interesting.
And so we don't, we're not bringing in a ton of revenue to build these positions. And so it's a lot harder to do. And so there are a lot of jobs out there available, but the number of hours that you work is extreme.
Yeah.
You work 7 days a week.
Oh yeah.
Now there are some times, like we were just talking about, I coach baseball during the summer. Now I go to work Monday, Tuesday, and part of Wednesday, and then it's usually no questions asked on Tuesdays or on Thursday and Friday because of all the hours I worked in the fall, not getting compensated for them. I get to take them during the summer, and so my job actually works out really, really well with coaching baseball. So, and I've been thankful as long as I've been at CMU. My bosses have been very, very okay with me coaching baseball. I'm up front with them, and usually when I go back to the hotel, I got to work for a couple hours. Yeah. Here and there, and
it's just kind of sporadic sometimes or whatever.
Yep. And so, but most of them know it. If I don't answer, I'll answer at some point. Yeah. And when I'm on the road, and they've just been very supportive of me and the baseball program that we run during the summer, and most of them make sure that I still want to do it and still doing it because it's a good way to get away from work and do good for the community also. Yeah.
Do you feel like that's why you got into, like, what drove you to become a coach? Like, outside of, just going to work every day noon, do you think it was for, I guess, like, doing good for others, kind of giving back? Or do you think it was more of something that you always wanted to do?
I think it's always something I wanted to do, but the more and more I do it, it's more and more giving back.
Yeah.
I mean, I love sports. That was, going to college, that was something that I stressed about, was what did I want to do. I knew I wanted to be something sports related because I have zero business sense. I don't care about that much.
Right.
I liked science, but I didn't know what I wanted. If I was going to get into science, I'd probably be a teacher.
Yeah.
And
I'd have to be
I wanted
in
to be
elementary school.
At one point I wanted to be a teacher, but I think that was more so I could get into coaching, more teaching. I mean, coaching and teaching are for the most part, they're the same thing.
Yeah, they run parallel.
And so, and when I first started coaching Gene Taylor's, it was an in, so to speak, to get into coaching. And then as the years went on, it was like, okay, I'm moving up now. I'm the only one that's doing this now. And having Willie with me for however many years, and I think we played off each other really, really well. And so, but going back, it was I think originally it was I wanted to stay in the game. In high school I played football. I was a wrestler, and I played baseball. And I was probably the best at football. I coached football 1 year after I was done in high school. I went to a junior college back home, and I coached football for a while, and I loved it. And I was really into it. I understood. I mean, when I played, I was probably the best out of the three sports. I was probably the best at football.
Yeah.
And that's actually what brought me here, was to play football in Mesa. And when I got here, I learned that it was a job more than it was playing the game. And
so, that is true.
I love football, but I didn't want it to be a job.
Yeah.
And then I was good at baseball. I wasn't great by any means. And then when I got to Mesa, my roommate was a baseball player, and they were looking for somebody to do some extra work on the side, some advanced scouting, some helping with practice, some this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I'll come and do that. Well, then Coach Hank started having me travel with him, and I was keeping scouting reports, book, and everything on the road. But being at practice so many times, I picked up so many things from Coach Hanks and some of the other coaches that's where my knowledge comes from.
Yeah.
Is being around those guys for 20 years now. And so.
Interesting. Yeah, I did not know you knew Coach Hanks that long. Mm-hmm. And like you were.
The fall of 2003, I started doing stuff with him.
Wow.
And so, I mean, been around the program a long time.
Yeah.
Seen a lot of players, seen a lot of good players.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I think that's a cool thing to do. Being able to you kind of figured out what you wanted to do by figuring out what you didn't want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never looked at it that way, but you're exactly right.
You figured out,
I've never looked at it. Yeah, I've never looked at it that way, but yeah.
No business, sure. No, I don't want to be I want to coach football. I try to play it, that didn't work out, type of thing.
And my friends still make fun of me now. I'll watch and everything. I'm like, oh yeah, they're doing this, and that, and like, well, how do you know that? I'm like, I just do.
Yeah. Well, you have your head in the game, which is cool. What is some of the other things that I did want to talk about? Let's see here. Was how you deal with. Okay, so I don't want to go too deep into the whole like parents when you're coaching, because there is a lot, like that's just a lot. That's a massive topic, because we could go on and on for that. But do you feel like you as a coach, and for being a coach for as long as you have, do you think that you've got to the point where you kind of block out all that parent noise? It seems like there's more criticism nowadays than there is like pats on the back from the parents.
Yeah.
Is that true?
They're not going to tell you that, but
yeah,
I think any coach is foolish to think that the parents in the stands know more, and so it happens, and I know it happens, and if you're a coach and you don't accept that, I think you're fooling yourself. Yeah. Parents are hard to deal with. I understand why some coaches get out of the game because of parents. Now, I've been fortunate enough that I've had I can probably count them on one hand over the years of parent altercations that I've had.
Where it got like too ugly or something.
Yeah, and it's never been to the point where I've had to ask a kid to no longer be on the team.
Yeah, which is good. That's
it's
good.
never gotten to that point. There have been it's hard because those ones that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, most of them the parents had they thought their kid was better than what they were. That's hard, and because I don't have kids, and I know if I had a kid, I would think that they're the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. But that's the thing. You know what? On the flip side of it, with my dad being a coach for so long,
there are some that understand that better than others, though.
I've understood it as a son, though. You know what I'm saying? Because I recognize that, and I'm like, I hate that. I hate players or like dads like just playing their kid because it's their kid. So I never wanted my dad to do that. Like I never wanted that. I always thought that was so just.
I think that's why. I don't want to say that I've been successful, but I don't have a kid on the team. I don't have.
Yeah.
There's no hidden agenda where I need to play this kid because he's my kid.
Yeah.
Those instances that I'm talking about, those kids probably weren't at the level that the program was, and I always try, and even this year, I have kids on the team where in certain games they're going to be overmatched, and I don't want them to get hurt or lose confidence.
Right.
And so I'm going to find all the situations that I can that they can be safe, they can have success, they can have, and so those are the types of situations. And the parents didn't understand that I was trying to get them in to safe situations where they were. And when I tried to explain that, they just did not understand why their kid wasn't playing. And I tried to be upfront. And I've had those meetings where the very first meeting, this kid and this kid are not going to have the same number of at bats and same number of games played. It's impossible to get the exact same.
Yep.
And so, but everybody's going to play. I cannot sit here and say it's going to be equal though.
Yeah. And you're just upfront about it. And I think that's the cool thing.
And I think parents respect that when I say that. That this kid's not going to play every game. No kid. I don't think, as long as I've been here, I don't think Cuba played every game. I don't think anybody played every single game every single summer. Yeah,
and that's something that you have to put out there, knowing now that these parents are paying, right? Are paying for the kid to be on the team. So they're the ones taking the risk, and it's got to be, it's got to be verbally said to their face at least.
Yeah. And so I'm very, very thankful that I've had good parents, and if they had something to talk about, they approached me very, very respectfully. Yeah. And understood the side that I'm coming from. Yeah. Also. And there have been mistakes. I'm not going to sit here and say that I haven't screwed something up. I have fully admitted to parents before that, you know what, I'm sorry, I did screw that up. Yeah. And I think, and on the flip, just the same thing. I think when I admit that I screwed up, I think they respect that and understand that. Right. And so, it's probably in the last 5 years it had an instance where I fully admit that I screwed up. Yeah. And that kid should have played one of the two games, didn't play either one of them, and that was like the end of the season. And I fully admit that I screwed that up. Yeah. Yeah, that's always a hard thing, because you're always juggling so much though. You're not just juggling how parents or how you're dealing with parents. You're just focused on the game. You're focused on winning a baseball game. Yeah. 99% of the time. So everything else always seems to just kind of fall into place, and sometimes they don't. And that's when you can find yourself in a sticky situation like that. Like you said, winning cures it all. Winning usually nobody has a problem. Masks a lot of the problems. So when you're not winning and you're losing, and then some kids aren't playing. Yeah, you can expect there to be problems. That's a tough one, but we in the program we do enough winning, so that is true. It ends up working itself out. So. Yeah, I've always thought about that, like how and like kind of why you decided to get into coaching, and then
just knowing how parents can be. I was talking with Dominic, I think it was 2 podcasts ago. He did a lot of football. I don't know if you know him, Dominic Romero, but he coached at Mesa, I think. He said for a little bit, but it was football. And then he also did a lot of the Super Junior football here. And he was like the Chargers coach out there at the Redlands for a while. I think he did some time at Fruita too, but he was like, college is the reason why I went back to like Super Juniors. He goes, there's just so much, like, it's not as, it's like you said, it's like a business.
It's different. College football, I don't care what level you're talking about, is different.
Yeah.
It is very different.
He goes, it's not as fun. I mean, kids become eligible, kids become uneligible, kids are moving on, and you have to be scouting for players to get on the team for the next year, and you're trying to worry about this year, and it's like, it's not as innocent as kids football when they're age.
Just pure playing because they love it.
And eyes and ears, you know, and you just like give them the ball and they're just running. Yeah. They don't even know which touchdown.
College football is different, and it takes special people to do it. And like I look at the guys at Mesa, I know a lot of them and respect a lot of them that are there. And I mean, even during the season, you have days where you don't really talk about the game plan for the week. You got to come up with a recruiting plan.
Yeah.
And what you're looking for, and you know, we're traveling this day, but we can go catch a high school game when we get there.
Yeah.
Is there anybody in the area that we need to go and look at? There's just so many different things to think about. And not to mention, I mean, you go to a Mesa game and there's 4,000 people in the stands.
Yeah.
Like, there's not 4,000 people that show up to any other event that we have.
Yeah.
And so.
Interesting.
And so you're responsible for putting on a good product. And so that's why those guys, even at our level, they get paid very, very well.
Yeah.
And so, because also, when you think about it, they bring in 100 kids to the university.
Yeah.
And not all of them are on scholarships. So a lot of kids are full pay. A lot of kids are out of state full pay. And so that changes the dynamic. And so the athletic department is some of the school's biggest recruiters.
Yeah. So we were talking about it on my very first recording with Cole and Joe Carroll, some of those kids, Cole Taylor, and Carson Lee, and they were talking about how now coaches are dipping into like Twitter to reach out to some of these, and this is something that I heard of and I heard about, but I didn't know it was that serious, and now it's really, really big.
Very.
So they're dipping into that, like just instant messaging them over Twitter or whatever,
Instagram's
DMing.
another big one. I just talked to a coach today that, and it's shady. That's the hard part. It's a shady business. Because
you're almost getting into the player's personal life too.
Well, it's a way to contact a player that you don't have a phone number for. Yeah. But those messages can disappear also.
Yeah, you can go in vanish mode. Yeah.
And
on Instagram.
Yeah, too. And so that's what it was basketball. It was a basketball thing, and they were contacting players at other four-year schools, not our staff, but other people were in vanish mode and recruiting players off of other teams.
That's wild. Yeah, there's so many like edges to technology.
There's some. When jobs and personal lives are on the line. Yeah. To what extent are you going to go and try to get a kid to make your team better to keep your job and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then you also have to think that you're crossing not only like that boundary, but the players. You have to go to their personal profile to then get to the DM button or you can send them a DM.
Yeah,
there's an deep avenue. Like
it's deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Like I just turned my Instagram to public. Mm-hmm. I've had it private this whole time, but ever since I started this up, I was like, I had to open it up so people could share stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that brings up a different world. And I wonder if that's going to change the dynamics of just athletics in general. Or is there a way that they can, NCAA can make some kind of ruling?
They think they can, but there's just going to be some other loopholes going to be.
Yeah.
They're going to. I mean, when we started, you couldn't text message recruits.
Yeah.
When I started, you could make one phone call a week to them. Text messages were off limits.
Yeah.
Then it was like, okay, text messages are unlimited. Now phone calls are unlimited. Now it's just social media. You can only do this.
Right.
Now you can do this.
Yeah.
And so
because you can't ban the next app coming out.
No. And nobody knows what that is.
Exactly. So it's just weird.
It's kind of a weird spiral whirlpool that just keeps going.
I didn't even think about that. Really, like you actually really opened up that avenue for me just thinking about that. I mean, you can get into some really dangerous stuff. I guess speaking of DMs, and I only have a few more things to talk about with you. I can't remember who it was that I ran into, and they're like, "You're gonna have Dave on." It could even have been Zane. I can't even remember who it was. It was Andrews, and they were like, "I want you to ask him about his love life." Do you have somebody in the picture?
I don't.
You don't, huh?
I do not. No.
That's as short as it gets. Short and simple, man.
I would say short and simple.
Yeah.
I'm a busy guy.
Yeah, busy guy. We don't got time for that.
Don't have time for the ladies.
Yeah, that's funny. No, I think it was Zane. I think it was Zane or Andrew. Hell, it could have even been Trey Garcia. I can't remember. But
all those yahoos.
Yeah, you know how that that whole squad was.
Yep.
So they're still playing softball.
Oh yeah.
And
I played one tournament through fall, maybe. I can't remember. I played one tournament with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do get out there a little bit, and Willie did too.
Willie used to do it a lot more than me, because Willie was a lot better than me. So everybody tried to pick him up.
Yeah.
He hasn't played. I don't think he's played enough.
Since he moved.
Yeah, and he's I don't know if he played when he was back in California. I don't think he did, and then he's been back here for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, and he's just doing softball.
He's coaching softball
now.
Yeah.
And he's assistant or
assistant.
Interesting. Is he trying to plan to take that over? You think, or
I don't know.
He doesn't have it. He doesn't. You don't. Yeah.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
And only time can tell that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just your birthday last week, right?
Yeah.
Happy birthday! I don't think I slid up on Facebook. So happy birthday.
I look at Facebook just to see who's still out there every once in a while, but
I noticed that. Do you take happy birthdays to heart? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like how people sometimes I can't believe
where you're no longer
reach out.
You're no longer a friend with that person. No.
I've always been like that too, and sometimes I'm at the point where I don't even like the attention. On my birthday, I'm like, okay, I'm over it.
It's great to see who's out there, but there's people that didn't wish me a happy birthday, and I don't hold it against them or anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Everybody's got lives out there that you forget, and it's okay.
Yeah, there's people like that though. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to be your friend anymore, or whatever.
You couldn't take the time to just text me happy birthday. I'm like, I just didn't realize what day it was.
Sorry, it's Tuesday and I just got off of work and it's 10:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Do you enjoy staying more busy or vacationing? I know my boy Dave likes to vacation.
Oh yeah.
But when it comes to just when you're 80 on your deathbed, are you going to be more proud of the fact that you were able to go to Turks and Caicos, or are you going to be more proud of the fact that you
grinded for so long?
Yeah.
I don't. So me and my mom go to Hawaii for every Christmas. So there's that vacation I look forward to every year, and it's more relaxing than anything, getting away from everybody and everything.
Right.
But I don't remember the last time that I went on vacation and I didn't actually work a little when I was on vacation too. And so I feel like I like vacation, but I just don't. It's been a while since I've truly left the laptop alone, put the phone away, everything.
Yeah, you just kind of hustled along with it.
Yeah,
if you're traveling,
I've just made a little time here to do that, this and that. But for sure, vacation. Probably, between the two. You know, that I got to enjoy a lot of different things. Like not a lot of people have gone to Hawaii as many times as I have at my age, and so I'm you know, for vacation, not you have some people that live there and everything, but
right.
And so.
Do you think that when it's kind of all said and done here in Junction, at CMU, even Gene Taylor's, do you see yourself moving out of Junction, or would you be around? Do you think? I
don't know. You know, it's fun. That's a really, really good question, because I remember. Yeah, I don't know the exact date, but I can tell you exactly where I was and everything. I was talking. One of my best friends back in Washington, his mom passed away, and I flew back for her funeral. Mm-hmm. And another really good friend of mine, his parents came up to me and was like, "Hey, do you ever plan on moving back here? You know, I know you like it there, but you." And this is probably this is a long time ago.
So you're from Washington?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Long time ago. So and I remember them asking me, and I was like, I'm comfortable right now, but I'd probably like to move back here, in the next 5 years probably. Now, this was a long time ago.
Oh.
And so I don't know how to answer that. Like I don't know where I'll be. I'm very, very comfortable here. I like it here. I understand, like, kids want to get away from here for a little while, but as I like to say, the grass isn't always greener. This is a pretty good place to live.
100%. I would agree.
I love home. Seattle's still home to me, but I'm very, very comfortable here, and it's a good place to live. And I joke because my hometown is connected. There's a rough part of my hometown.
Yeah.
You don't go out at night in this area.
Right.
I don't feel that here. Like, I feel like I could walk down the street in any neighborhood here, even the rough parts.
Yeah, like the 8 Ball, and you'd still be all right. You might see some weird people.
Yeah, see weird people, but I don't feel like my life is in danger. Whereas there's a couple places, like, it wasn't uncommon, my weird story, but I used to have to go through this rough part of town at night to go see my aunt who was in a nursing home. And so you'd go through there, and it wasn't uncommon to see a guy with a pistol in his belt, And I don't know if I've ever seen that here.
Yeah.
Even in the worst parts of town.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, sometimes those shady areas are. I mean, it's getting worse. I think it's getting worse in some of those areas, like you say. Mm-hmm. I mean, like Seattle, and I even was up in Victoria, British Columbia, and I didn't even realize how many homeless people were there.
There's a lot up there.
And I didn't think that, and I went there a couple years before, and I didn't even really notice it. So it must have been something where I had just noticed it, and my eyes kind of opened up to it.
Yeah.
Or it was just a growth in that.
Yeah.
It's a sad thing to see, but.
So I guess I don't know. I don't know if I see myself here that long, but right now it's comfortable. I enjoy it, but like I said, like, Seattle's always going to be home for me. And so that's where I grew up. That's where, just everything.
Yeah. I'm like flying blind. I need like a clock in here.
Yeah, no, that's probably good that there isn't a clock.
Yeah.
It's like a casino in Vegas.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
You don't want to know what time it is and how long the time has passed.
When's the last time you've been to Vegas? Have you been to Vegas lately?
Oh, yeah.
No?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
You know how I do in Vegas.
Yeah, you go big.
Yeah, we joke from that same Reno tournament that we used to go to up there. There was like a host hotel, and we had this picture, or one of the guys took a picture of one of the coaches of the other team, had his skull cap on from coaching third, panted up, jersey on, at the craps table.
Oh my gosh.
And like,
that would be me if I'm a coach.
This is you right here. Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm not that big of a degenerate. But.
Yeah, that's a Dejan move for sure. Like, we're going to go to, I was supposed to do Vegas for my birthday. I'm turning 25. So my 25th, we were going to go up to Vegas, but not a lot of people were going to go.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it. I'll stay close. Some of my buddies were willing to go to Blackhawk.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'll just do that.
We'll do that, yeah.
Because that's what I wanted to do in Vegas anyways, gamble. The only thing is, I feel like I don't win as much money in Blackhawk. Blackhawk steals my motherfucking money.
I've only been to Blackhawk. I've been to Blackhawk one time. We went to Cripple Creek one time. But other than that,
what's Cripple Creek? Is that a casino?
Yeah, it's like an old mining town up above Colorado Springs.
Oh, I don't think I've even
I
might have heard of it.
Mountains. It's like an old gold mining town.
Oh,
it's really cool. It's kind of cool. It has a cool feel to it and everything. But been there, and then we're going to Vegas with Taylor's this summer for a perfect game tournament.
That would be fun. Oh yeah, I do remember that tournament.
Yeah.
Because I remember we stayed in the Excalibur, which is that's where I stayed too. Like when we were
I almost always stay there.
Yeah, because it's the cheapest.
It's
on
the
Strip.
cheapest. It's on the Strip. It's yeah.
Oh man, that was a fun one. I do forget that you did run that Vegas one.
Yeah, we used to go to a couple different ones there. The one that we used to go to kind of shut down, and so we've done this perfect game one for the last handful of years now. Yeah.
So when you gamble at a tournament, like, do you go like kind of after the games late at night, or like you kind of
no,
or do you even gamble during those tournaments?
I do, but like I use when we go have dinner or whatever, whether we go into the Bellagio buffet or whatever, we do dinner that night, and then I would go and gamble for 2 or 3 hours, but like when we do room checks or something like that, we wouldn't go back down or anything like that.
Yeah.
And going on the room checks thing, your guys' team was probably one of the last teams I had to do the room checks for. Everybody else they're like Saints now.
Really?
Yeah.
That is interesting because you would have to do that.
I'd have to sit in the hallway making sure you guys don't run out at night.
Didn't we have like Weaver, the oldest Weaver on the team?
Dylan's he's at CSU Pueblo now.
Interesting, yeah, he's been playing for a while.
But we still have Weavers on the team right now.
He has a bunch of little brothers, so I'd imagine.
His last little brother's he's a freshman this year. Yeah.
I wonder.
There were some teams that had to be careful with, but not anymore. I had to tell Brandy that I was going to be on your podcast.
Really? What did she have to say about that?
She's like, "Oh my gosh, are you really going to do that?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing it."
So you're kind of around. You kind of hang around that softball team too.
I know a handful of the girls. Yeah.
Interesting.
Kind of a weird thing. We their first tournament this year was out in California, and we had to. Me and one of my workers went out there to help do the tournament for the school that was putting it on out there. We scored some games and whatever. We drove out by ourselves. We were going to stop in Vegas on the way out, stop in Vegas on the way back.
Yeah.
And it didn't end up working out. We get out there and our bus breaks down.
That is some fucking like Gene Taylor shit there.
And so, and they're like looking to get parts to fix the turbo in the bus, and like they ain't gonna be here till Tuesday. And this is like Friday afternoon we're talking about this. And like,
wait, so this is a CMU bus?
This is a CMU bus.
Oh no, one of the big, fancy ones.
Oh yeah, it's okay, not a big deal. And so it was like, yeah.
So do you still have that little fucking Gene Taylor's bus that we just fucking
no,
all the time?
That one finally it hit the bricks.
Hit the bricks.
What
happened with that fucking little bus of yours?
Oh, you had to be there because it was like one of the first trips we ever had in that thing.
Yes, that's the year you bought it.
When the thing flew off and it was shooting Max in the ass with that the air conditioning tube or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And it started leaking some shit.
Yeah.
It started flooding the bus.
It was like antifreeze or something.
Yeah. I do remember that. Right. That was wild. It was like literally like the first or second time.
It was like the first trip we went on with that thing.
Yeah.
And
that was like the magic school bus.
Dude, that thing was awesome though when you really get down and think about it.
Yeah, that's true. Because you could sleep on it when you needed to.
Yeah.
You could do a bunch of. God, there were so
Man.
many things, ratchet
I just
things.
remember the freaking air conditioner. We had to like
Yeah.
rig it so it freaking blew on everybody and knocked right out the windows.
Like fucking duct tape on it and shit.
Yeah.
No, I remember that too, because I also remember just the back of that bus was always ratchet as hell.
Oh yeah,
Like me and like Dakota Dunham, we'd be back there like,
yeah.
I don't even know.
Remember when we went to Vegas in that thing? We stayed at the Stratosphere and had to park it in the ghetto, and it like fit right in.
That is true, and like it was funny because
Oh,
it was
man.
like who could put it almost, you open those doors and I bet you like, you know, with somebody from the outside walking in, it probably smelled like sweat, like
Just
Copenhagen mint and
Yep.
wintergreen,
Yep.
and then like antifreeze. I bet you it was the
all
weirdest
yeah,
fucking
and just
fart.
dank, you know, just straight like
I haven't heard you
just
say that in a long time.
just
Just schmolder.
yeah,
Yeah.
just all kinds of just nastiness.
I forgot about that. That's hilarious. David. Well, that was fun. I'm gonna have to have you back on, and maybe the perfect situation would be even have Willie on with you or something.
yeah.
But
We could get old Guillermo to do this.
I bet you he would. But like, I want to have
Dude,
Bly
you have
Madris
that-
on.
You have that man crush. Do you want me to call?
I fucking-
I'll text Bly right now.
Yeah, I bet
have
you
Bly's
do.
number.
I bet you do. Like,
I have Sergio Romo's number too. I've been texting with him lately.
that's exactly what I was about to say. It's Bly and Sergio, and I'm like, it would be so sick. Like, just a night that
Well,
they
then
come back
there's-
in Junction.
Yeah, Sergio.
So-
Sergio was my neighbor in college.
Really?
Oh yeah, me and him.
Oh my
I know him
gosh.
very, very well.
Damn, that would be sick.
I got a couple of Sergio stories, man. That guy was wild.
Interesting.
Um,
Yeah.
and I'll for sure do it.
Oh my gosh. So he's a hustler. He's a cool dude then.
He's super cool. Yeah, super cool, super chill.
Wow.